And now, my friends, on talkSPORT and talkRADIO, we'll be live till 5. You've got the chocolates in and the popcorn and maybe some nachos, because you're going to need them this weekend. Half a dozen great Freeview film recommendations on the way from me, Paul Ross, but mainly from our main man when it comes to Friday movies, Mr. Van Connor. Good morning, Van. How's your week been? How did your film quiz go?
I was on my own. I came in second. I'm going to throw my hands up. However, it was only by 3 points, and that's because I don't know an awful lot about Harry Potter. It's Star Wars for dweebs, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
So it's all J.K. Rowling's fault, basically.
Exactly. It's all Robert Gilgraith's fault. That's who it is, yeah.
Well, I know you know a fair bit about your first recommendation. I love this film. It got mentioned in the week, actually, because I think Ferrari are dipping their toe back into an offshoot of Le Mans for the first time in decades. And we're talking about Le Mans 66, known also as Ford versus Ferrari. An absolutely cracking film, this one.
Yeah, I don't know why they changed the title for some reason. I mean, I like Ford v Ferrari as a title, but yes, Le Mans 66 is what it goes by. I saw this at the LFF in 2019. I've been a big fan of it ever since. And you'll know the story. It's Christian Bale's the driver, Matt Damon's the designer, and well, it's Le Mans 66. So you know, you of all people, Paul, rather historically know which car it is that they designed that winds up redefining the motoring industry for decades to come. It's of course the GT 500, I believe.
Absolutely, and of course it's also. I wonder if they changed the title because there's I think, underrated and at times almost hypnotically boring, but a must-see film for anybody who likes motor racing, the Steve McQueen film Le Mans. Oh, yeah. Which is one of the great motor racing films. I mean, shot on amazing expensive footage. It cost him a fortune. I think it lost a fair amount of money. It's got one of the best lines of all time, I think, for somebody like McQueen's a petrol head. He said, life, is really just racing. Everything else is just waiting, which is such a great line for McQueen.
That's a good line.
But of course, he started that film without a plot. This has very much got a plot and a real life plot as well. And Christian Bale, I think, he's such a great actor. He's very endearing. He's almost normal in this film, isn't he?
Well, he plays Ken Miles, and this is about as sort of down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth British as Christian Bale ever plays. He plays Ken Miles. You're going to hear in the clip him really going for it and getting into it with one of the judges for sort of grading him before the race starts. It is about that chemistry, though, between Matt Damon and Christian Bale, which you wouldn't imagine is something that would be there, but they work really well together. Great cast that also includes the likes of Tracy Letts. You've got John Bernthal turning up as Lee Iacocca as well. Catriona Balfe as, I think she's Bale's wife in this. This is just an absolute banger. This is on Film 4 tonight at 9 o'clock. James Mangold directed this, who did, of course, The Wolverine and Logan. Yep. You know, the great finale to the Wolverine solo series. Tonight on Film 4 at 9 o'clock. And this is the clip of Ken Miles just losing his rag. We had to bleep this, as you would imagine. Losing his rag with the judge for telling him his boot is not small enough to qualify for the race, of all things.
And of course it's one of those great Hollywood moments where the Ford Motor Company is portrayed as the underdog. It's a cracking film. 9 o'clock, so on Film 4, here we go.
You can stick this bloody sticker where the sun
Hey, Bill.
shine.
Hey, Bill,
Right?
what seems to be the problem, Bill?
Well, the problem is that Bill here is a
No, he doesn't mean that.
No, yes, he does.
No,
yes,
he
he
really
does.
doesn't
Yes,
mean
no,
that.
he
He's just
really
fooling
does
with you,
think
Bill.
that
He's just
Bill
fooling with-
is a...
I'm
just doing my job here.
Bill, in my experience, listen to me, something like this, there's always a middle ground. All right, now Ken's out of line.
And I'm just
all right?
doing my job.
I understand you are. You know how he gets on a race day. You know that. All right, but you're not going to DQ us over at Trump.
That's my kind of car maintenance right there. It's a great film, that great fun film. And talking of slight, should we say, distortions by Hollywood, only because they portray Ford Motor Company as an underdog in this, and they were at Le Mans, I want to recommend Pearl Harbor, which has really divided people down this. I won't say I love this one. I really enjoyed it. It's old-fashioned, it's over the top, swirlingly romantic, beautifully shot, cost a fortune, cost $140 million, but made over $500 million. And I know Pearl Harbor from the year 2001, Ben Affleck, of course, and it was when, we had Kate Beckinsale's in it as well. And it's when Josh Hartnett seemed to be an unstoppable force in Hollywood. Not so much these days, but this one has a very special place, I know, in your film collection, does it not, Van Connor?
It does. Now, first of all, I like Pearl Harbor very much. It was an attempt to replicate the success of Titanic. The idea was, let's take another great big historical disaster or great big historical tragedy and add the big romance and do the big 3-hour epic and get the lady pop singer to do the big song. We'll try and invade the charts. Faith Hill did not quite work out the way that Celine Dion did. And this became the first Blu-ray. I made a point to make it the first Blu-ray I ever bought. I am a big fan of Pearl Harbor. I make no apologies, and it's worth it in my books just for Alec Baldwin. Oh, yeah. Just for Alec Baldwin as Doolittle and the immortal line, "Gentlemen, This time, leave your goddamn hula shirts at home. Amazing.
Also, Cuba Gooding Jr. is great. It's a great ensemble film, and it doesn't just end the way film Chora 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 did with the attack on Pearl Harbor. It follows then the Doolittle raid, the kind of reprisal raid, which again had for some of the pilots, spoiler alert, had a tragic outcome. But the money's certainly on the screen in this one. I was lucky enough to see it. I obviously knew the story, but I saw it for the first time in Dublin at one of their major cinemas with amazing surround sound. And behind me and the current and final Mrs. Ross was a couple of Dublin lads, about 15, 16. And when it ended, it was the remark they should have put on the poster. Jesus, that's a great film. Let's go and get a pizza. And you think, that's what you want to hear. That's all there is to it. It's, you know,
Bit Spaldron.
Yeah. It's not going to change cinema, but it's certainly a great entertainment film. It's on 5 stars tonight, also at 9 o'clock from 2001. It's Pearl Harbor, and here's some of the gung-ho patriotic trailer.
We've been trained to think we're invincible. But our people think Hitler and his Nazi thugs are Europe's problem. We have to do more. Does anyone think that victory is possible without facing danger? In times like these, we all need to be reminded who we truly are.
Warning of Japanese aggressive movement.
That we will not give up.
Stirring stuff there, because you've got real-life historical characters mixed in with the love triangle involving about Affleck, Josh Hartnett, and Kate Beckinsale, of course. And again, it's even the score's fantastic. I think Hans Zimmer did the score for it, so it's one of those things where everything works. It just doesn't, to be brutal, it doesn't add up to more than the sum total of its parts. But so what? The sum total of the parts is fantastic for me on that one. And you've gone for another cracker, I think. And it spun off from a sort of half-failed TV show, didn't it? Your next recommendation, the science fiction classic, modern classic, Serenity. Tell us more, Van.
Yes, Serenity from 2005, written and directed by Joss Whedon, a name that we don't often out with a smile on our faces anymore, because reasons. And this was the follow-up to the cancelled TV show Firefly, which incidentally is the tattoo on my left forearm. The one on my right forearm is Serenity. Serenity
so
follows on...
We're kind of guessing you quite like this film and this franchise.
This is the first thing I ever got published writing about in film. It stars Nathan Fillion as the leader of a group of what can only be described as space cowboys. They are smugglers in the 26th century after a civil war amongst the human race. They were on the losing side. The evil empire have won, and they are basically living on the outskirts, just trying to eke out a living, taking jobs, good, bad, criminal, legit, whatever they can do to make the ends meet. However, one of their crew is a wanted fugitive, and throughout the series that was always a mystery. The movie that follows this on actually does tackle and take on that mystery head on, like they make no bones about it. Summer Glau plays the passenger who may or may not have a very particular set of skills that the government not only want, but also put in her to begin with. It's an absolutely banging movie. If I remember correctly, Empire referred to it as this generation's Highlander back in 2005. I think it's a very, very apt description because you watch this movie, it's absolutely brilliant. It cost about $40 million and it does not look it. This looks like, at the time, this looked like a $150 million movie. It still looks like a big blockbuster now. If you can see, you don't need to have seen the series particularly, but you do get extra context if you have. But it's worth seeing it just for the gusto and the glee and the chemistry and the wonderful, just the patois and the cadence of it. It's a very distinct, very unique property in which characters randomly toss out insults in Chinese and use old Western slang and, like I say, dress like space cowboys.
Well, it is basically, I think, a kind of Western in space. It's about a gang who's a kind of almost meditation in parts on the Wild Bunch, where they've kind of given up their ethical fight for revolution and stuff, and they're making a living now. But fundamentally, they're on the side of right, aren't they? This crew.
Oh, very much. So in this case, you've got Chiwetel Ejiofor as the new villain for the movie, as our characters literally carry on in what's effectively Han Solo the series, but here, done as a movie. I've got a clip for you, and it's my favourite moment of the entire movie. It's what I refer to as the money shot moment. This is Nathan Fillion giving it the big monologue that takes us into the third act of this movie, and oof, it's a banger.
So it's 5-star. It's tomorrow night, I think, at 6:25. Is that right?
6:25, perfect tea time movie for me, but I'm a twisted person, as you know.
Here we go. A chunk of Serenity.
Y'all got on this boat for different reasons, but y'all come to the same place. So now I'm asking more of you than I have before. Maybe all. As sure as I know anything, I know this. They will try again. Maybe on another world, maybe on this very ground swept clean. A year from now, 10, they'll swing back to the belief that they can make people better. And I do not hold to that. So no more running. I aim to misbehave.
That's a great line, isn't it? It's also
Good line, isn't it?
kind of John Wayne crossed with Henry Fonda, isn't it? That speech. You can imagine
It is.
John Ford. If people half know the name Nathan Fillion, he was in that I think underrated, very light-hearted, spoofy detective series called Castle. in which he plays a crime novelist who helps the coppers. Also, he's in the Recruit at the moment. I think the kind of the cop show that turns up. I think it might be on Sky Atlantic. But again, he's an interesting actor. He cameos brilliantly, doesn't he, in Saving Private Ryan? Because he thinks...
He does. He's the other Ryan, isn't he?
Yeah, he thinks he's going home because his brother's killed, but my brother's only 11. What was he doing fighting the Nazis? Great film.
I will tell you as well, Paul, that in Castle there is an episode, I think it's a Halloween-themed episode, in which he chucks on the Serenity costume, and his daughter says, "Oh, please, not the space cowboy outfit again."
Oh, I've not seen that one. I love that because Castle was just very light-hearted and throwaway. He's a great actor, I think, Nathan, a great star. Now, my recommendation is rather different, but very strongly football-related. I've mentioned this film before. It kind of slipped under the radar a bit when it was released about 3-4 years ago now, partly, of course, because the pandemic was on the horizon. It's called The Keeper. And again, maybe the title was to blame, because a bit like The Accountant and The Postman, I can't imagine many people just going on the title alone, can they? Although I think The Accountant's a great film, and I've got a lot of time for The Postman. The Keeper's the sort of romanticised story of Bert Troutman, who, as people know, was a legendary goalkeeper for Manchester City. He'd also, though, been, as a boy, he's only 11 or 12, he joined the Hitler Youth voluntarily. He signed up for the army voluntarily. In fact, he was a paratrooper. He was a winner of the Iron Cross First Class. He was captured by the Russians on the Eastern Front, escaped a couple of times, captured by the French, escaped, finally captured by the British in the dying days of the war, and he was one of only 90 surviving members of his regiment, which consisted initially of 1,000 people. So the odds against him surviving were absolutely incredible. The odds of this man, who had been not a committed Nazi, but a real patriotic German, then making it into the hearts of the British public at that time was incredible. It's a true story, and this is the man, Van, I'm sorry to bore on about this, but who in 1956 helped Man City win, was instrumental in their victory over Birmingham City in the FA Cup. He played 40 minutes with a broken neck. I mean, you can see quite clearly in some of the old footage. You can see his head's on one side, and he's not doing it a la George Clooney to look cute. He's got a busted neck, Bert Troutman. So I think he played over 500 times for Man City from 1949 to 1964, which is an amazing achievement. The film's on 11:45 tomorrow night, BBC One. Again, it's a bit sentimental. They've cut some corners. The budget isn't the biggest, but essentially it's such a wonderful human story. There's a bit of romance involved as well. And he did have the option, to be fair, at the end of his imprisonment. They weren't convinced he was a Nazi. I don't think he ever joined the party, but they said, because he'd grown up as a boy for the 12, 13 years of Hitler's rule there, he'd probably been indoctrinated. He decided not to go back to Germany even before he knew about the Man City job. So in that case, he turned his back as best he could on his past. midnight, tomorrow night, BBC One, it's The Keeper. Here's a chunk of the trailer.
As long as you are here, you will be put to work.
Yes, sir! That long one in the goal. He's not bad, is he? He's not bad at all. Just let me have him for a few days. Count, man! You, play football. Keep your gob shut. Stum. Right, lads, this is Bert from Bradford. We're going to try him out in goals.
What's up with Bert from Bradford's neck?
It's a war wound. Poor lad can hardly speak.
You've gone mad. He's German.
This lad could save us from relegation.
This is not about football. He's a bloody Nazi. He raised his arm like the others and shouted Heil Hitler. Maybe you'd have raised yours if it stopped the team getting relegated.
I mean, it's crazy to think that when he signed for Man City, that was only 4 years after the war had ended, and we were well aware of the terrible things the Nazis had done, along with other nations involved in that kind of bitter conflict. And I think there was a demonstration against him being signed by Man City of around 20,000 people. 7 years further on, he's a hero for them, and I think he gets the Football Writers, Player of the Year award. So it's an amazing turnaround story. This one, well worth a watch if you've not seen it. One more recommendation for Van on the way, but my final one is, and I know you like this film as well. It's from, I think, it's only about 4 or 5 years old. This film, I think, if memory serves. It's on Channel 4, and I've been a bit sneaky because it actually creeps into the wee small hours of Monday morning. So it's on 20 minutes to 1 a.m. Monday morning, but I'm still counting that as a late night Sunday, if I may, because it's Brightburn, great film. From the pen and the production skills of the Gunn clan, and James Gunn was a producer on it, and I think he directed the first two Guardians of the Galaxy films. I think he may be back on helming the third one. He had odd falling outs along the way with Disney and Marvel and people. Also, it's got David Yarovsky as the director on this one, and a great cast, including Jackson A. Dunn, I think his name is, as the boy in this. And the story is very simple. It's basically a Superman setup, isn't it? You know, childless couple, middle of nowhere in the States, and they're desperate, longing for a baby, and a rocket ship crash lands, and there's a beautiful baby. Only, unlike Superman, this child isn't really here from a heroic family. He's here, as we all know by now, transpires for slightly different reasons, very scary reasons. It's almost, I think it's almost the first horror superhero film, this one, I think.
Yeah, it would count. I mean, I think that the movie has the opportunity that it doesn't quite take to do something really profound and disturbing, and goes a little bit safe, but it's a good horror movie. Incidentally, as far as the James Gunn thing goes, do you know what James Gunn's current new job is as of Tuesday?
Oh, go on then.
He is the new head of DC Films. He's the Kevin Feige of DC.
He's jumped ship then, has he? I did not realise that, because he's had he's made some interesting films, been involved in great films, but he's obviously fairly, as all creatives are, I think, in Hollywood, fairly spiky character. And we've also got, and what I love about this film is, I mean, there's constant talk of a sequel. I think they missed a slight trick, because I'd love the moment when Brightburn kind of flies away, and you think he's going to take the world, conquer the whole world or whatever. I'd have loved it if that moment they cut to a kind of schoolroom somewhere else in America, or in Russia or somewhere, and a girl's eyes light up blue, and you realise that another group of aliens have sent somebody to kind of combat him in the future. Or have I given up too much away about the film? Anyway, it's a cracking movie, this. It's on 20 minutes to 1, early as a Monday morning, Brightburn. And your final film is one, again, we've mentioned before. Love this movie. One of the great kind of getaway driving films, not just of this century, but of all time. Tell us why you picked Baby Driver, as if we didn't know, Van Connor.
Well, I mean, I already picked one movie this week that has John Bernthal in it, so why not pick a second? This is written and directed by Edgar Wright, who, of course, broke onto the scene years ago with, 18 years ago now, with Shaun of the Dead, and of course recently brought us One Night in Soho, which I think was absolutely terrific. This is, like I say, the ultimate getaway driver movie. This is the kind of thing, if Steve McQueen was still around, this would be his favourite movie. Stars Ansel Elgort, John Hamm, Kevin Spacey. Actually, there's just quite a problematic cast when you start listing it out loud. Jamie Foxx, Isaac Gonzalez, John Bernthal, as I say. It's the story of Baby, a hearing-impaired getaway driver who sort of distracts himself by using classic pop music, sort of bestowed to him by his late mother, gets in deep with the wrong crowd, who then come after him and the sort of newly acquired love of his life. Absolutely banging movie, but all about those driving scenes. There's so many documentaries you can watch about how they put it together, because it's a combination of actual stunt driving and some groundbreaking visual effects. Banging soundtrack, because it's an Edgar Wright movie, of course. It's basically a musical without musical numbers. In a sense, but so slick, so stylish, so sexy and cool.
And great. Every single performance, I think, is absolutely stellar in this film. It's a great movie.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a clip for you of Baby and Deborah, the love interest of this piece, meeting for the very first time. Just to give you a sense of the sort of sparking that's going on between the raving needle drops that litter throughout this.
That's on Great Movies. It is a great movie. It's on 9:00 Sunday night. It's Baby Driver. Buckle up. Here we go.
So you're just starting your day, or did you just get off?
Oh, I don't know if I ever get off. They call, I go, you know.
So what is it you do?
I'm a driver.
Oh, like a chauffeur. You drive around important people.
I guess I do.
Anyone I'd know?
I hope not.
Well, aren't you mysterious?
Maybe.
Maybe? So when was the last time you hit the road just for fun?
Yesterday.
I'm jealous. Sometimes all I want to do is head west on 20 in a car I can't afford with a plan I don't have. Just me, my music, and the road.
I'd like that, too.
I've just thought of my classic, I think, more recent, maybe from the 70s, triumvirate of great driving films. I like The Driver, the Walter Hill film with Ryan O'Neill, Drive, the Ryan Gosling film, and this one. Wouldn't that make a great triple bill for a lost weekend?
Actually, the Ryan O'Neill one is being reissued. I think it's next week. Studio Canal have remastered it in 4K. It's going back into cinemas next week, funnily enough.
If you've never seen that one, folks, it's an absolute, but it's certainly, I mean, not that there's a lot of competition. It's Ryan O'Neill's best film. It's got some great pecking part up lines in it. It's just a cracking film, that one. Now, so that's our recommendations. We're going to end with a track from the brilliant soundtrack to Baby Driver in a moment. But first of all, tell us how we can hear you cogitating, meditating and sharing information about the big showbiz TV film and stories of the week on off-screen, Van. Tell us about your podcast.
Well, Off-Screen is out 6 a.m. every Friday with myself and Adam Ball. You can find me on every social platform doing 15-second cinema in the meanwhile as well. Of course, the thing I look forward to every week, Paul, is tuning in at 4 a.m. to talk to you as well.
Marvellous stuff. Cheers, mate. It's great to talk to you again. And we've got one of the tracks. It's an overlooked track from Queen. It's off their third album, Sheer Heart Attack, an absolute belter. The album gave us Killer Queen, also gave us Now I'm Here. This could have been a single as well, inspired, of course, by the great Graham Greene novel. And I suppose the film, the original one, was a great dark movie. To say thank you to Van Connor from the soundtrack of Baby Driver, it's Brighton Rock, courtesy of Queen.